So anyway, you guys got to understand that with the feds, there's something called AOR, aka Area of Responsibility. So HSI New York's Area of Responsibility is right here, guys. This little circular portion here. Basically, they cover all of New York. Okay? So for them to follow Tekashi into Connecticut, this is two different areas of responsibility. Okay? You got New Haven, right? And I know this because I used to be an intern in the New Haven office. Okay? And then you got Hartford. Okay? There's two different HSI offices in Connecticut. And again, this is public information. This is nothing that I'm fucking sharing that nobody knows. All right? There's an office in Hartford and there's an office in New Haven. These are called RAC offices. A RAC office, guys, or a resident agent in charge, and the FBI has this, ATF has this, whatever. All the federal government has this, whether regardless of special agent office, agency, the federal agency, they have something called a RAC office. RAC office is a smaller office, somewhere between 10 to 30 agents that's in a smaller town and or city, and they cover an area of responsibility. So you got New Haven right here, and then you got Hartford. So if HSI New York was to actually follow Tekashi 6ix9ine all the way to Foxwoods, not only would they have to notify HSI New Haven, they would have to notify HSI Hartford, who covers Foxwoods. Okay? And then on top of that, they need to notify the local police. In this case, it's going to be the Connecticut State Police. And then they also need to notify the Foxwoods Tribal Police. Well, if I'm a case agent and I know that my guy is in fucking danger and he's about to go across state lines to another area of responsibility that I don't have full control of, well, more than likely I might have to take the case down. Because here's the problem, guys. Once you leave your AOR and you go into another AOR, once they cross into Connecticut, now HSI New Haven takes over the surveillance. Okay? Now, obviously, HSI New York agents are going to be working with HSI New Haven agents. They're going to work together. They're, it's a camaraderie, etc. But when you're not in your AOR, you don't control what happens. You can ask the agent in New Haven what to do because you're going to have to send him a case number. It's called a collateral. And then he goes ahead and he opens up his own case and he helps you with the case. And you could tell him, hey, this is what I want to do, etc., because you're the main case agent. But at the end of the day, the AOR, in this case, New Haven, calls the shots for the surveillance on the way to Foxwoods. Now, once they pass New Haven's AOR and they get into this area right here, HSI Hartford is going to have to take over because this is their AOR now. Okay. Now another agent has to come in and take over the investigation because that's his AOR. Now, again, the primary case agent, the New Haven case agent, and then the Hartford case agent all work together. Okay. But you're going to need HSI New Haven and HSI Hartford involved in this situation because you're in another AOR. And then on top of that, I know, and I'm not going to disclose exactly, but I know in Connecticut, there's not that many agents, okay, to cover something like that. And I'm not going to say exactly how many, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to tell you to cover surveillance on a high-risk situation like that, you're going to need hundreds of agents to do it properly, okay? So essentially, you would need almost the entire New York office to follow Tekashi to Foxwoods, and you would have to follow him around, okay, to every place that he performs. You'd have to have guys on foot. You'd have to have guys in vehicle. You'd have to have maybe a tracking device, okay? And again, this is all within 1 day notice that they're figuring out that he wants to go to the Foxwoods Casino, all right? So we're talking about 133 miles where they have to cover him, and then once they get on the reservation, let's add another little factor. Now you're in tribal territory, which guess what? The tribal police have ultimate authority. So even HSI, Hartford, can't really call the shots because it's the tribal police that have that area, okay? It's essentially sovereign land in a way, all right? So HSI Hartford, even though that's technically their area of responsibility, they still have to operate politely with the tribal police. So it's a fucking nightmare from a surveillance and logistical standpoint. You're going to need a bunch of law enforcement. You're going to need two different areas of responsibilities to help you out with HSI, and you're going to need the tribal police, and you're going to need the state police, and you're going to need the local police, because you're going to need the bodies to help you on the surveillance. And when you're running an investigation like this, a gang investigation where you're trying to keep things low profile, you're not necessarily trying to alert everybody as to your fucking case. This is a nightmare. This is a logistical nightmare. And me right now, right, as someone thinking from an agent's perspective, I would not be able to coordinate this. I would have to take the case down. Okay, which is what they ended up doing. So you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck? Why did they arrest him so abruptly? Why is the indictment so short? What the fuck? Like, why'd they have to do superseding indictments? The reason why they did superseding indictments after, guys, a superseding indictment is a telltale sign that the feds didn't have all their ducks in a row at the time, and they had to probably indict very quickly or get the guy arrested immediately because of some crazy shit. And in this case, the feds could not have foreseen that Jim Jones and Mel Murder were going to jump on a phone call after the Breakfast Club and Tekashi firing his entire crew, and that he was going to go to Connecticut to Foxwoods Resort, again, on sovereign Indian Native American land, and they would have to notify two different AORs to watch him. And then on top of that, the risk that Shadi and all his people are going to follow him to Connecticut to fucking kill him is crazy, because if Shadi did go over there and follow them and get in a shooting, people can get hurt. And the feds knew about it. So you see how this could be a disastrous nightmare? Give me ones in the chat if that all made sense for y'all.